Can he get around his man? He can! Look at the gas! Look at the gas! Try! Welcome to ODT Rugby Chat, brought to you by Garrett Orr. If you're looking for a garage door, go and see my old mate Gerald Orr across there in Kaikoura Valley, and he can sort you out. So we've had our first week of Club Rugby last Thursday. It was awful, by the way. The wind was howling, the rain was coming in, it was about -3, but we got through. So I've decided to, for the first few weeks of ODT Rugby Chat, we're going to talk to the coaches. So I've got with me Murray Ralston from Taieri, welcome in Murray, and I've got Russ Lundy, welcome in Russ from Varsity, just to sort of kick to get the ball rolling. So Roly, let's start with you, mate. So you must be what, nearly 80 years old now?
I'm close to 80 than I am 10.
Right. So what are you doing back? I mean, why are you back?
Oh, well, I mean, got a lot of knowledge, I guess. I've been around the traps a bit and I've kept up to date with the game and felt I had something to offer. Haven't got much else to do, so I thought give something back to the club and to the team.
How's the tree telling business going? You're winding that back a bit?
Winding that back, yeah.
Right.
Don't do much at all these days, to be quite honest.
So who's helping you out at Taieri?
I've got Graham Anderson helping out in the backs, and Joe Latter's helping out when he's available.
Yeah, I did hear that.
With the forwards looking at the line-outs and the phase play, the rucks.
Okay, mate, so let's talk about Taieri. Talk about what the Taieri club itself. So teams, have you got the same number of teams as last year? Because I understand you haven't got a P2 side.
I think so, but there's no P2 side, but we've got a senior side back this year. Mike Kerr's been telling me that they're all 40 plus years of age. They probably won't be too much help to you. No, well, at the end of the day, I've been around a while and you've got what you got, so we've got what we got and that's what we have to make do with.
So effectively the same numbers as last year, except your P2 side's become a senior side.
Yeah.
So you've got the same numbers. Okay, look, Russ, let's bring you in. Let's talk about Varsity. I hear numbers could be up.
Yeah, good numbers at the club this year. Really good. Extra Colts team and good numbers around both Prem 2s or Bs.
Yep.
Good Colts numbers.
So things are looking okay from a
and potential for a second women's team, development team.
Okay.
So yeah, really good. Extra 2 teams in the club.
Oh, well, that's good to hear. So look, Roly, we'll come back to you, mate. Let's talk about because there's a lot of changes in your team from last year. A lot of your older, experienced guys, the Brody Humes of this world, the Caleb Leafs, they've all disappeared. So what gains have you made?
There's a lot of young boys there. I'm not sure where they all come from, to be quite honest. There's a few from Central Otago. We've got a couple of Fijians in the side this year. They're new to the club. Just a lot of young boys that have come through. Yeah, that's it really.
You've moved quite a few of your Colts players up from last year. They were a pretty competitive side, that Colts team last year. I watched them play a bit, but you've also picked up, I see a couple from AU. You've picked up that really good flanker, that Ben Kay. What's he like as a rugby player?
Yeah, well, he's a lovely kid. He's as a rugby player. He plays 7. He does his job very well. He played very well against Varsity, in fact, last week. Right.
And I think you might have picked up their first 5 from AU as well. Have you just been raping and pillaging AU?
Oscar Anderson.
Oscar Anderson, yes, because he might be out of Oamaru, I think, originally.
I don't know why they came to the club or they were at the club, but they're good young boys, they're keen, and they're just wonderful kids and have joined into the team very well.
Okay. So let's talk about, because there's always changes at Varsity. There's changes at Varsity every year, isn't there? So what losses for Varsity? You obviously lost, you've lost...
I guess one of the features for us this year, not too many losses.
Right.
Hopefully. Not too many losses. So hopefully we can build on what we did last year. A lot of the guys back, over 20 of the squad have returned from last year, which is really good. Lost Jermaine Pepe, who was our captain last year.
He's a loss, obviously.
He's a massive loss, both organisation-wise, talent-wise, and I guess driving the culture around the club. He was always very keen on that. Lost Josh Policarpio, who's been playing Varsity. He was at Varsity for about 8 years. We didn't get a lot of footy out of Josh last year anyway, but he's gone. He's playing in the UK. But yeah, pretty much the core of the last year's team's back, which is really good.
So okay, so who are we looking out for to really step up this year and make a statement?
Oh, there's a heap of guys that have sort of now played 1 or 2 years of Prem footy that if they want to kick on with their rugby need to. And there's guys right through that we've spoken about before. We've got really good young front rowers that are 1 or 2 years out of school that had a baptism of fire last year. They've worked really hard on the off season. Charles Engelbrecht and Steve, they're both really fit now compared to where they were this time last year. Really strong young guys, so they've got big futures. We've got big locks, which is pretty rare these days. We've got 3 good-sized locks in the squad.
Well, I've actually got him in my Form 15, but it's a big Tinnock. I mean, look, he's a mountain of a man. His old man played for Southland, obviously.
Southland, yeah.
But he's got to be 6'8", 6'9". He's a very tall young guy.
Yeah, he is a big man.
Well, you could do with him.
Could certainly do with him, yeah.
So, so tell me about Tinnock. Why has nobody put him on anybody's radar?
Well, I guess he's still young enough. Like he's only maybe 3rd year varsity, but played first year of Prems last year. He's a big man. He's 6'9". He's grown again over the summer. So hopefully he's on someone's radar. Right. He needs to be. But also with him, we had Ben Stalger-Turnock, another big lock that got injured in our 2nd game last year and missed the whole season. So he's back and he's worked really hard to get himself fit and get himself injury free, and just looking for a big season from both those guys.
Right.
And Ali is also in the mix and looking to get some footy this week. He had a really injury ravaged season last year as well. So yeah.
Looking okay. So, your early days, Riley, but standouts for you? Have you seen a couple of standout footballers we should be keeping an eye on?
Oh, we're not a big side, but we've got some really good small forwards. We mentioned B&K. We've got Tom Bolton. Tom Bolton's captain. Him and Bobby Martin are
so you've still got Bobby
co-captain.
Martin.
Bob Martin.
He's a very good halfback at club level.
Yeah, and looking to help him with his game to get him up to another level, because he's good enough to be playing at a higher level. He just has to, be consistent with his performance, and we'll see where he goes from there. We got a Asisawa Ravuvu from North Otago. He was a North Otago winger. He's quite exciting.
He's one of these Fijian boys
some ball. He's one of the Fijian boys. Yep. Yeah, and we're just a young, good all-round team basically. So it's hard to say who might star at a higher level.
Okay, so let's talk about the big question for you. You didn't make the top 6 last year, and that's an unusual event, as we know, for varsity. Yep. So look, you'll be aiming to be at least back in the top 6 this year, surely.
Yeah, clearly we've got to be. That's got to be our goal, and it was one of the things we talked about pre-season, is just making sure we're there when the end of the season comes around. We've got to be in that, make that split, and obviously our goals are a bit higher than that, but we've got it. That's
your first job.
Yeah.
Okay, so Roly, about you, look, I mean, you've been. Let's be honest, Taieri have been one of the most consistent side across the last 10 or 12 years of club rugby, probably more. Goes back to about 2012, effectively. So, tell me about, where are your goals? Do you see yourself as a top 4 side this year? Now, you talked about being a young side. So have you got a bit of growing to do yet? But are you still looking to be in that, right in the mix?
We've got some growing to do, but if we can get our game going, we certainly want to be in that top 6 as well initially, and but we'll just take it game by game, as they say, and we'll end up where we're supposed to be.
Okay, so you took on Russ's side last week, and you and I talked about off air. You kicked a late penalty to win that game. You weren't quite sure how you won the game, but you did. So that's a plus. But you're going up against another really big pack this week in Zingaree. I've seen those guys in pre-season. They are big. So what's the game plan? Being the fact you're a smaller team, what are you got to do against some of these big packs in town?
Oh, we have to dig in and hold our own up front for a start. I mean, if you can't hold your own up front, you're going to always be against it. But if we can get a bit of the ball, I think we probably would have been lucky to get 30% of the ball against Varsity, and we didn't get our game going. So if we can get 30% plus ball and we can get our game going, we'll be competitive with everyone.
Okay, and I did hear some really bad news. We talked about that off here as well. Your really promising prop, I think he's a tight head. Cam McNeil has broken his ankle, so that'll be him done for the season.
Yeah, it looks like it. It's very unfortunate. It was a pretty sad situation, first game of the year, and to have someone go down, and cold, shitty night that it was, and we had a stoppage for a good 10 minutes, I guess, which didn't help either team. But Cam was up there in the hospital waiting to be operated on still, and hopefully he gets that done and has a full recovery.
Right. Okay, so Russ, bring you back in. So let's talk about, you've got Dunedin this week.
Yep.
They fell over to a pretty good GI side last week, who were really gutsy on D. So what are you going to do? Like you've already gone one down with a late penalty to lose.
Yep.
So what are you going to do this week against Dunedin?
So we just need to be a lot more patient in what we do. We tried to score tries off sort of first and second phase too often. We need to trust what we talk about all week, and we had well-meaning guys just trying to do things individually instead of just working a lot more as a team.
Yep.
So I think, we were really disappointed with the way we finished on last Thursday, but as Roly said, they really hooked into it and gave us a bit of a fright up front. And there's no use being big if you're passive.
Yeah.
And so we need to be a lot more aggressive. And we need to be a lot more patient and a lot more clinical in the backs, and that's really it for us.
Okay, righto. So let's come on to now. We will come on to the team of the week. These boys have both given me a bit of ribbing about this team. They feel I haven't done a lot of work, but what I've done this week, and you remember it's quite hard in the first week because I haven't really seen a lot of the teams, and I've pretty much got to go over what we've seen, what's actually in Monday's ODT, or in this case it was last Saturday's ODT. So I've gone with Afala Taulaga from GI. I've picked this kid because their scrum got pumped in the first half against Dunedin, and he made a massive difference in the second half. And actually, the Dunedin pack was going back, which not many teams can say. They've pushed the Dunedin pack around. So he was really good for them. I understand Ricky Jackson was, according to Roly, he was the outstanding player on the paddock.
Oh, yeah, without doubt.
It's good to see somebody come back from Super Rugby and play like it. And, anyone watching would just see he was a class above.
Right. And I've put in Sepa Vaka from Dunedin. Again, when he was on the paddock, the Dunedin pack were killing Green Island. When he came off, there was a massive difference. He's a massive man. I've put in Mitchell Tinnock for no other reason than I watched him last year and thought he was pretty good.
Yeah, I thought he had a really good season last year, and I was surprised he never made Otago B or development.
Right.
If there's half a dozen better locks than Dunedin, and that's great.
Yeah.
I think he's got a big future.
Okay, I put James Bolton in. I thought he was Dunedin's best player. This kid he's actually a 6, but he plays lock pretty well. He's a tough, strong, hard kid. Thomas Brock, apparently from all accounts, was very, very good for Southern against AU. This kid here, Amos Roddick. Now I watched this kid play, and it's probably one of the most exciting open sides I've seen for some time. He was very, very good for Green Island on the weekend. And Taylor Dale, who doesn't really want to be in the team, but if we just put him back up, Taylor Dale was a bit of a standout in a beaten team for Harbour. And over to the backs, we've put in Fionn McKenna. I think I haven't heard of this kid, but he must be new to town. But it sounds like he was a standout for Zingaree. Cam Miller, I've only really put him in because he kicked the winning goal.
That's good.
Right, that's why I put him in. Mark Rooney, though, he's a tidy player.
Oh, very tidy, yeah.
Just plays okay. Yeah. He's in.
Oh, he plays better than just okay.
Yeah. Jake Tahiwi, well, he was a rock. I mean, he's a super player now. In fact, I couldn't believe he wasn't playing for the Highlanders at the weekend. He's a big, big man now. I couldn't believe how big he was playing against the club footballers on last Thursday night. Zion Niha, pretty lucky to be there, but scored a nice try for Green Island. Jeremiah Arcee scored a couple of good tries, so he must go. And he's the form winger in town every year.
Well, yeah, and he's a strong guy as well, but he's fast, he's athletic, and one thing I really like about Jerry is he gets off his wing and looks for work. And it was a cold, wasn't the most pleasant night on the Taieri, and he's not just standing out there waiting on the ball, he's in having a look.
He makes a massive difference in club rugby. And I put in Finn Hurley for no real reason other than there was no other fullbacks, and he did kick a kick for the line, 85-metre kick, put it out in the corner against Dunedin and kicked a goal from 15 metres. But that was it. But we'll be a lot more solid on Form 15 next week. So, boys, we're going to move on to this week's games. Yeah. So I'll get a picks from you in these games. I'll start with you, Roly. So Southern are at home to Harbour. I know you haven't seen a lot of these guys, but Harbour went down by, again, a late penalty. They lost to Zingari at the weekend, and Southern had a reasonably comfortable win against AU. But Southern are at home.
Yeah, she'll be a battle up front. Southern at home, I'll go Southern.
You go Southern? What are you thinking?
Oh, I'll go Harbour then.
You'll go Harbour? Right, we'll go to the next game on my list here is Kike playing AU. I think there's only 2 super players in club rugby this week, and they're both playing for, I think they're both playing for Kaikorai. Hayden Michaels is playing, and I think the big lock, Will Tucker's playing as well. They're the only ones playing. So you'll have lost a few out of that as well. But anyway, yep. Kike and AU.
Well, you would, having seen none of this footy, you'd think Kike would get that done.
Yeah. Kike and AU, you think Kike. And your game, Zingari and Taieri, you're obviously going to pick Taieri.
Obviously.
What are you picking, Zingari and Taieri?
Well, look, I haven't seen anything of the Zingari team other than what I've heard about and read about in your paper. But, Taieri, really small, aggressive Lucy's. I reckon they'll get up over a few teams.
Okay. And you can, Varsity Dunedin, you'll be picking Varsity.
Yeah, we're into it.
Right. Varsity Dunedin?
Yeah, Varsity will bounce back, I think, this week. Unfortunate for Dunedin because they might go zip 2.
Okay, that's it, pretty much it from my point of view on these games. Yeah, Southern and Harbour. Look, this is just about too close to call, but I'll go Southern. Remember, they're the defending champs, and they'll only get stronger as the year goes on. And as we know, JL's still stealing players from all around town. So Southern will be too strong for Harbour. Kaikorai will be far too strong for AU. Zingari and Taieri. Look, I've tipped Zingari to win this competition, rightly or wrongly. So I better stay with Zingari, but I got a sneaking suspicion that there won't be much in that game. And in Varsity versus Dunedin, we'll be playing for the Jonathan Keogh, I presume, in this game.
I think that's second round.
Is that second round?
Yeah.
So Varsity versus Dunedin, well, I'm going to pick the Sharks. They can't be, let me tell you, they cannot be as bad as they were last Thursday. So if they are a bit better, I think they might get up, but it'll be close. In our first issue of ODT Club Rugby last Thursday, we had a Spates ODT question. It was one of those bottle cap questions from those famous bottle cap questions from Spates. And the question was, which club in Dunedin has produced the most All Blacks? The answer was Varsity. And the winner of our competition last week was none other than Peter McQueen. And we will see you again next week. Can he get around his man? He can! Look at the gas! Look at the gas! Try!